Good morning, YouTube. I'm working on a SL2 1999, and I just wanted to give back a little this morning to everybody. I replaced the lower control arm, and it's basically this guy here. It's a bitch to take out. You can see. The toughest part of the job is removing the screw that's holding that hub assembly there. The trick to this is to not waste your time trying to get the screw out right away. The trick is, you know it's going to be fucking rusted, right? So what you need to do, and I caught this and learned this from another YouTuber, what you want to do is get yourself a 3-inch cutoff saw from Freddie Harper, just like this. It's pretty freaking cheap there at Freddie Harper. I think it was like 30 bucks or something like that. But money well spent. You also need a Dremel, just like this, with the thicker cutoff blade on it. It's cheap, real cheap, $6 for, I don't know, fucking 10 packs or something. But what you're going to need to do is you will need to cut off the control arm. I don't know if you can see that. There you go. You need to cut that off. Don't waste your time. Cut it off close to the hub. After you do that, you're going to be left with basically a yoke around an assembly. It's like it's a steel shroud that goes around this rubber bushing, just like that. So first things first, you cut the main arm, and then you start chopping away at cutting off the remaining bits. So you have this basically going around. I'm sorry, man, my camera. Shit. It's like 7 o'clock in the morning right now. Go with something like this, just like that. So you take one section off, and then you knock off another section. You may have to rotate this a little bit as you're working on it, but eventually all this will go away, and then you'll be left with this inside of the control arm. And then I just did a single cut, actually a couple cuts on this, and then I removed this with some vice grips. I took my knife and I did a single cut across somewhere. Can't see. I went across, straight across, and this comes right out. And then you're left with this guy here. This guy here already has a, for manufacturing, there's a slat, or a slot I should say, in it, this sleeve, and this is the one that becomes rusted to your actual screw. Here's your screw. This screw goes through it, and like I said, don't waste your time trying to get this screw out first. More than likely, you're going to have to go through everything I just described with the cutting. That seems to be the best way to go about it. Air chisel, that's a lot of shit. That doesn't work, trying to get this out, especially when it's rusted, basically welded together. But so you're going to cut into the slat with your Dremel with a thicker cutoff tool. Don't get the thin one; those will break within seconds. But the thick one works really good. Cut through this. Don't go all the way into the screw, because the thing I learned is you're going to have to reuse this screw. On the other side of the car, on the passenger side of the car, I actually fucked up these threads. I had to clean up. I had to chase these threads here. I'm lucky I had a tool and die set. But yeah, so you're going to be reusing the screw, so don't go too deep with your Dremel. As soon as you see dust, when you see dust in there, like brown rusty dust, you know you basically hit this screw. If you kiss it, so what? It'll be fine. But these screws are really hard to find. I also had to go on the other side of this thing and do another cut to loosen up. And what I'm doing, I'm using the WD-40. You can use penetrating oil, whatever you want to use. And then once the oil gets saturated in there, and with your couple of cuts there, it'll make removing this screw a lot easier from the sleeve. And basically you're going to put vice grips on the sleeve with the oil penetrating within the sleeve, and you'll have your, I think it's a 15 or a 16 millimeter socket on this side here. You're going to be rotating, and eventually it'll start to move off of the sleeve, or actually give you some rotation, and separating these two pieces. And then on this end, you're going to have to push a little bit with maybe a hammer handle or pry bar or something, just to get this head out a little bit. And once you get the head out, what I did is I put very carefully, I put some vice grips on the end here. And again, being careful, I don't want to mess up the shaft itself here. But I hit it with a hammer to get this out from the sleeve, and that worked pretty good. So I just wanted to pass this along to everybody. This is a bitch of a job to do. This is a lower control arm for a Saturn SL2, $19.99. I'm sure other cars are similar, but well, there you go. Peace. Hope it helps.